Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Primerica Career Briefing. And thank you all for plugging into a call tonight or webinar tonight that we believe is going to be and can be life changing. We have talked to so many people over the years, and particularly young people, and they do everything right, go to college, get to 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, sometimes even 10 years. And they get out of college and start in their career, and they're faced with a lot of politics, a lot of things that they didn't really bargain for, but that's where they are. So those that are listening in tonight, this might be something that you want to consider as a career move. Or it may be that you have a son or daughter, a nephew, a niece, a cousin, someone at your church, somebody at work in your community, that every day they come home and they are complaining about the conditions of their job and looking for something that they could join and be more of a movement, something that they can make a contribution, help somebody, and come home and feel like they really made a difference. But for a few minutes tonight, we're going to talk about what freedom means for families all over your state and all over my state, all over North America. And it's going to be a real basic presentation, nothing real profound. But I'm going to start right here. What does freedom for families mean? One thing, it means abuse and abandonment of the middle market by other financial institutions. They want to have freedom from that. And they've done everything that they know to do. They've got out of college, got a good job, got a bank account, and went to the financial institutions and to get a home mortgage just to be turned down. Although the income says they qualify, but the FICO score said no, and nobody told them about the importance of debt to income ratio, and it has affected them in a big time way. Number two, a lack of financial knowledge. And that's costing them a whole lot of money. Number three is a failure to provide proper protection for their families. And then you've all seen cases where a person dies and they leave their family struggling because nobody taught them or showed them how to protect their income, generational wealth, legacy planning. If you join with us tonight or this week in this movement, that's something that you could do that could make a huge difference in someone you know personally in their lives from a financial standpoint. The next thing is a devastating impact of debt. I think we all know people that are in debt, and what it has done is caused a stranglehold on their life. Communication is broken down because they have so much going out, more going out than they have coming in. Then there's the stress from worrying about money. And we all know what worry can do to the human body. And other folks controlling their time, controlling their talent, controlling their opportunity. And young folks don't like to be controlled. Now, this is the truth now. This is generation, the millennials. They don't want to clock in and clock out, be told what to do. And this is a way to avoid those kind of controls. And that's freedom from. Now, what's freedom to? To start families on a game plan. I don't care basketball, football, softball, track, volleyball. If you don't have a game plan, not going to be a good game. Not going to be a good season if they don't have something in writing. So what you could do by joining with us, and we'll train you on showing others how to put some things on paper and how putting it on paper can bring things to life. Then the next thing is learn how money works. And I got to move real fast. We don't want to hold you too long tonight. Build your own business and then work when, where, and how you choose and control your future. Create a legacy for your family while helping others. You know, I'm from a small town called Lochapoka, Alabama, and we were all taught even as a child, to help somebody in the community, to take them this or take them that. I mean, I can give you, we didn't have a whole lot at that time, so a cup of sugar, some bread or some flour meal. I'm taking y'all way back now. Well, we were taught help somebody along the way. And there are folks that have such good hearts. They'll give you the shirt off their back, but sometimes that kindness is used for weakness. Well, you can avoid all that if you join with us on a part-time basis. Now, Primerica, we're going to talk about three things tonight. Primerica been around since 1977. It's not a little fly-by-night company. There's 135,000 people in Puerto Rico, Guam, Canada, and the Virgin Islands, all over North America, obviously. 135,000 people. Now, there are four things we're going to kind of look at tonight. The importance of having proper protection, start investing for the future, learn how to become debt-free, and earn additional income. So we teach people how money works, because money there's a language. It's not a real complex language, but money does have a language, and it works 24 hours a day. Now, Primerica, then, as I mentioned, is a movement. And I want to focus on the word movement and also empowering families, giving them the power to and the tools and resources they need to get the financial house in order. And then giving those that decide to join the movement a chance to change their financial tree. Now, what do you mean? How are we going to get that done? With financial solutions, with education, personalized game plans and opportunities. Now, why then is this so important? To right or wrong. You see, Dr. King said years ago, the time is always right to do what's right. And there's a lot of injustices going on in the financial industry, which is why so many folks are getting to the end of their working journey and have nothing to show for all that they've done. And they're very discouraged and they feel real bad after working 25 or 35 or 45 years, and then they still cannot come home. Now, so I'm gonna use a strong statement here: public enemy. Public enemy number one is traditional financial institutions. And the question is, do you really think, do anybody on the call, on the web Zoom call tonight, think that the financial industry is just really sitting around thinking about how things can be a whole lot better for us? That's just not the case. And we need somebody to champion the cause of what we call the little man. And so Main Street needs an ally. They need somebody to help them to fight. And I want to say this, and again, this may sound kind of corny, but Primerica really has the back of North America. We're going to show them how to get the financial house in order in a simple, understandable way, nothing that's real complex. Now, I'm going to show you kind of an umbrella of all the things that we do. And if you join with us part-time, some of the things that you too could do as you build your own business. Number one is opportunity. Now, opportunity is not a guarantee. It's defined as a good chance, a chance to change the course in our direction. Then there's protection, to make sure we have certain things in place in the area of life insurance and long-term care if you need that, and want to encourage you to look at that at a certain time, at a certain age. Investments, at some point we're going to get old one day. If we get old or get down the road, don't have any money saved, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. It's going to be some difficult days ahead. So we're trying to encourage those that we talk to, and if you join with us part-time and join this movement, we'll show you also how to talk to friends and family and show them the power of investing money. And then mortgages. We have a specialist on our team that works in our local office, Bessie Cooper Harris, and she's a mortgage specialist. And she shows them about the importance of understanding debt to income ratio and preparation before application, so they don't have any internal frustration when they've done 4 years of college, got a good job, and still can't qualify for a home, not because of income, but because of FICO score. And so she has a place and an expertise in that area. Then also auto and home. How many folks that I've talked to over the years don't have the proper limits of liability? They go out there and hit somebody like a Mercedes or a Lamborghini or a Jaguar or something real expensive, and it's not going to be a real good day for them. And then there are those that have homes and don't have the proper dwellings on the home. There's bad weather, tornado, whatever it may be, that takes the home away. And they don't have enough coverage, enough dwelling to rebuild that same home, because nobody talked to them about understanding dwelling coverage and limits of liability. We don't do that. We have a partner that does that. If you join with us part-time, you wouldn't do that. The partners do all of that. And you get compensated for making the connection, for doing the networking and putting all that together. Now I want to talk to you now about the age of the entrepreneur. What do you mean, Ricky, the age of the entrepreneur? Well, number one, they think. The generation that's coming down the road, they don't subscribe to working 40 years for a watch and an ink pen and a jacket after 40 years later. They don't play politics. They don't like deadlines and demands. That they are thinking generation. Then you have that generation that they want to build it. It's called the gig economy. And the gig economy is real. They don't like having to work 40 hours or 45 hours. They don't like going in at 9 and getting off at 5 and taking a break at 10 or 11, a lunch at 12 and a lunch at 1. They don't like those kind of demands. They don't like being told what time to go and what time to come. They don't like those traditional ways of doing things. They want to work on their own terms. They want to be independent contractors. They understand that they don't like a W-2 world. They've embraced the 1099 mindset where they can control their own destiny and get up when they want to get up and go out there and put in the sweat equity and make it all come together. That's what we live in now. And that's the mindset of this next generation. So it may not be you, it may be somebody that you know, or it very well could be you. Then they want to own it. And so for those that think that way, Primerica is the perfect model for disruptors, this massive tidal wave of business owners and entrepreneurs. They want an opportunity to turn their passion into a business. And they have a passion about life, passion about what they do, or they can turn a business into a passion. When they see they got a chance to change a person's life with just some basic financial fundamentals that doesn't take forever to learn, and it can make a huge difference on the other side. When they can retire with some degree of dignity, they can get out of debt, and they can leave a legacy if they were to die premature. That's a big deal, and that's what young folks, that's what they're looking for. So the question then is, what do we teach? We teach how money works. I'm gonna show you about 7 little squares here, and I'm gonna kind of comment on them real briefly about how we get that done. Number one, the theory of decreasing responsibility. Now, what does that mean? In the early years, we've got to have coverage. If all of a sudden somebody dies, there are young kids, there's a mortgage, there's debt. If all that's left on a young family, it's going to be absolutely utter devastation. But as time goes on, the decreasing responsibility kicks in because the kids are going to be grown. The kids right now that may be 5 years old, in 30 years will be 35 years old. 10 years old, 30 years is going to be 40 years old. So the responsibility to take care of that child has greatly decreased because now that child is actively employed in their own career. The mortgage is going to be paid. The debt's going to be lower. That's the theory of decreasing responsibility. Then the next concept that we teach is something called the rule of 72. Now, what that rule says, if we divide our rate of return into the number 72, it's going to give us how many years it takes the money to double. So let's say here I am working on a regular job. I never heard about mutual funds. I'm getting, let's call it a 3% rate of return. Well, the rule says if I divide my rate of return 3% into the number 72, it's going to approximate how many years it takes my money to double. Well, 3 goes into 72 24 times. So it's going to take it 24 years to double. But if I'm getting 6%, 6 goes into 72 12 times. So it's going to double then every 12 years. But if I'm averaging 12%, 12 goes into 72 6 times. That money is going to double every 6 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot compete with someone that's money is doubling every 6 years and mine doubling every 24 years. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but it's true that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And it's all kind of knowledge. And this rule of 72, I can assure you, is definitely one of them. Then there's a power of compound interest. Now, Albert Einstein said this: compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Your money making money on top of money, making money on top of money, because money never calls in sick. Money never stops working. Don't take a day off, works 24 hours a day. but it has to be with the right employer, meaning the proper rate of return. This is also very important. Then the next one is the high cost of waiting. Now we're trying as hard as we can to get the young generation to start investing early. 21 years old, 22, 23, 24, between 20 and 30. If they start early and don't procrastinate, you've heard what procrastination does to all kind of things. But if they start early and they want to retire by a certain time, let's call it 65 years old, by the time they get to 65 years old, they can have a sizable sum of money. But if they wait until they are 40 years old, it's all right, that's still young, but they got to save a lot more money at 40 than they would at 25. If they wait until they're 55 years old, that's still young in today's term. 55 is the new 45, but 55 ain't but 10 more years before 65. You got 120 months to get it done, a whole lot less time. They got to save a lot more money. It is the high cost of waiting, and we're trying to help them to avoid that. Then the next important thing is pay yourself first. You see, we do all the work. You're going in, if you're in the W-2 world, you're working 40 hours, 45, 56 to 80 hours a week, and getting to the end of the week or the 2 weeks or every month or every whatever, however the pay system is, pay the water bill, the light bill, the gas bill, the mortgage, the rent, the grocery, pay the car note, the house note, pay all your bills, and don't pay you. And you are the one that work, we are the one that working for the money. Whether you're 1099 or W-2, it's critical. And we're trying to get this word out there as much as we can, and we want you to join with us. Come and join with us to help us to teach financial freedom through family planning. The next thing is debt stacking. Debt stacking is a powerful concept, but it's just showing the families the old snowball effect. We put their information on paper. We put their mortgage, and you can do the same thing on paper. You put their car payment on paper. You put their Visa card, MasterCard, Seals, JCPenney's, student loans, the truck payment, put it on paper, and show them a system of not paying out any more money, paying out the same thing they're paying out every month, but taking one bill and adding to the next bill when that bill is paid out, and they can pay that mortgage off sometimes 2 years early, 5 years early, 15 years early, paying out the same amount of money. So what are we doing? We're showing them organized economic defense. We're showing them how to run a zone on that money and not trying to play it man to man. It is a system, what we're showing them, and you can do the same thing part-time. The last one is buy term and investor difference. What do you mean buy term and investor difference, Ricky? There's only two kinds of insurance out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's whole life and then it's term. Well, let's talk about that just real briefly. Let's say here I am, let me just roll back the hand of time. And let's say I'm 35 again, my wife is 35 again. We talked to a whole life agent, real good guy, been in business for a long time. We said, we need some insurance. He says, oh my goodness, I can help you with that. I'm gonna put 100 on you, 100 on your wife. It's gonna cost you $225 per month. That's all it's gonna cost you. He says, not only that, you can borrow against this policy. You have a savings that you can borrow from at a low rate of return. And then now think about this, Miss Pitts. In 30 years from now, you're gonna have a savings called a cash value. It's gonna be about $77,000 in 30 years from now. You run into a little tight spot at 50 years old, 55 years old, you can borrow. Then he stopped him. I stopped the guy when he said, I can borrow. I said, what do you mean? Didn't you just say that was my savings? He said, yes. Well, what do you mean I got to borrow out my own savings? I said, well, that's the way the contract is designed. You got to borrow out your savings, your policy, that $100,000 I put on you, that's going to be the collateral for the loan. If you take that money out of that savings, you don't put it back before you die, we're going to take it off the top before your wife get anything. He says, well, suppose I don't take the money out. You know, my cash value, my savings. Suppose I don't take it out. And I get to 65 years old and I got $77,000 there. And then I die. How long would it take for my wife to get that $100,000 insurance policy? He said about 21 days. It's not going to take long. File the claim and all that. Death certificate, not going to take long. He said, that's pretty good. Then the wife said, well, how long would it take for my husband to get his 100,000? He said, about the same thing. And then they asked them a very disturbing question. He said, how long would it take for my wife or my husband, either one of us, to get that 77,000 that we have in our savings? He said, you ain't gonna get that. In my country boy colloquialism, you ain't gonna get that. He said, what do you mean by that? Well, it's part of your policy. So if we give you the insurance policy, the death benefit, the 100,000, you ain't gonna get the savings. If you take out the savings and don't put it back in there, we're gonna cancel your policy. It's called cash surrender value, or value surrender cash. He said, well, is there an alternative? Is there something better? Look what he told him. You can get what I have on me and my wife. He said, what do you have? I got term. He said, tell me how that works. I bought a 30-year level term. I got 250,000 on me, 250 on my wife. I'm paying $80 a month, substantially less than what you're paying. But see, I understand how it works. You didn't understand that because you don't have the discipline to save. So I'm gonna put you in a whole life because you don't have the discipline that I have. I'm paying $80 a month for 2.5 times the coverage, $145 less, 30-year term. He said, why you bought it for 30 years, Mr. Insurance Man? He said, because in 30 years, my kids are gonna be grown, my debts are gonna be lower, my mortgage is gonna be paid. I'm not gonna need life insurance when I get to be 65, 70 years old. I'm gonna need some cash. He said, how you gonna do that? Well, listen, I'm saving $145 a month by buying this term policy. I'm gonna take that 145, I'm gonna put that money over here in a Roth IRA. And so by the time I get to be 65 years old at a reasonable rate of return, let's say 9%, I got $265,000 in my investment that I don't lose if I die. I don't have to borrow. I don't use the word borrow. I withdraw my money out. I don't borrow it out. And then listen to this. If I die, my wife gets the insurance, the 250, and the investment plus the two of them, 265,000. If I want to, I can drop the insurance then because why? I got cash. If something were to happen, they can take the money from the investment, bury me, and keep it moving. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the difference of whole life and term. Now I want to transition now and talk about this $6 to $8 trillion great wall of wealth. This wealth transfer is going to take place here in the next so many years, which is why we desperately need some help because folks don't really know, ain't gonna know what to do with that kind of money. Now here's how it looks. 45 million US households is gonna hand down approximately $6 to $8 trillion. I didn't say 6 to 8 billion. I sure didn't say 6 to 8 million. I said 6 to 8 trillion dollars. Now 6 to 8 trillion in assets is going to go to the children, to that next generation. That's over the next 25 years. And that's going to create an unprecedented opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not doing no layoffs over here. We're trying to bring people on board because there's a great need to teach these financial fundamentals. And we can bring you on board and train you and help get your license in your state and learn the system and work your own time, your own schedule, and do what you want to do in terms of what you want to achieve. Now, what's the big deal about 6 to 8 trillion? Let's look at 1 trillion. I'm gonna do a little sidebar here. If you spend $1 million every day, 365 days out of the year, it would take you 2,700 years to spend 1 trillion. 6 to 8 is going to be transferred to the next generation over the next 25 years. Where young folks don't know how money works. Where even when they get up in age, don't know how money works and spend it as quick as they get it. So this is why we need the help. Number two, if you spend $1 per second, $60 every minute, it would take you more than 32,000 years to spend $1 trillion. $1 trillion in $1 bills would weigh 2.2 billion pounds. Just trying to give a little context here, some kind of frame of reference as to how huge the opportunity is in this industry and in this company specifically. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very, very big deal. Now I want to talk about something else that's also in the trillions, $25 trillion protection gap. The typical young family right now needs at least $500,000 in coverage. Think about it. If he making or she making 60,000 a year, 50,000 a year, 75, 80,000 a year right now. And all of a sudden, here's a young couple with a young child, a family. All of a sudden, he's no longer in the picture. He's gone now. Also, that 80,000 that he was bringing in is also gone. She's gone now. Also, that 75, 80,000, 90,000 that she was bringing in is also gone. And so that's a huge hole that's left in that family. You got a chance, like we do right now, to go in and serve them and show them that does not have to be you. You can make a difference here. You can make a small change. It's a simple philosophy. This is not complex. It's called buy, turn, invest the difference. It protects us from dying too soon and living too long. You say, Ricky, how in the world can you live too long? Get into a time in life, all the golden years are behind. Don't have anything to show for it, the fruit of all their labor. And here they are now, the end of the journey. You got to depend on entitlements and programs and the children. And you know you can't depend on children not too much nowadays. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I hate to tell you, I'll break this news tonight. We got to plan for down the road, because down the road is definitely coming. This is brilliance what this company is doing now, because they embrace simplicity. It's a simple game plan that's going to put families on the right path. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, as we teach, we're being taught. You may not have an interest. If you're an older person, by my age, you may have an interest, but you may have some young folks, children, son, daughter, as I mentioned earlier, they're sick and tired of playing politics at work. And here's the way out. You see, doing what's right is the single most important thing that we do. And Dr. King, I want to mention this again now. He said the time is always right to do what's right. If you feel that you want to get involved in a movement, well, I want you to know that here it is, and you don't have to look any further. You see, at Primerica, here's number one. We know the challenges that families face. We know those challenges because we are that family. Number two, we care about guiding them towards success. And then number three, we deliver the solutions that they need. They need to know how to plan, how to budget, and how to get out of debt. They need to know how to protect their loved ones if they die prematurely. They need to know how to plan and go look down the road, because, ladies and gentlemen, down the road is coming. So now, what are the mindsets now? There are 5 stages in our financial life. One is saving for the future, because the future is a place that we're going to be in for the rest of our lives. And it behooves us to plan for that place. The second important stage in our life is family income protection, and also planning for retirement. Income protection is that life insurance, so we don't die and leave our family struggling and straining, as the old song say, trying to get home. Number 3 is retirement asset protection, to defend against market volatility. We know the market is up and down and all around, and it's important to have a strategy with that fact in mind, that can weather the storm, the winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall of the financial industry. And you can learn that. This is, hey, listen, this ain't complicated. You can learn it on a part-time basis and make a huge difference in your life and in the life of your loved ones. Then longevity of income, making retirement income last for a lifetime. There are those that get to retirement, they've saved a substantial amount of money and they qualify for an annuity. You got to qualify. Everybody doesn't qualify for an annuity, but then there are those that do. And they say, I've saved all this money and I've been had it 2 years, 3 years, hadn't even touched it. Don't know what to do. I want to have a guaranteed income for the rest of my life. Is that possible to ensure my income? The answer is yes, it is. You can learn that and we can teach it and you can help change a generation, change your loved ones, change your family, and in those that that's connected to them. And then there's this word legacy, to pass that wealth on to the next generation. You see, I heard a military guy say years ago, if it's not in writing, it did not happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to have a will, a last will and testament, a living will, and a durable financial power of attorney. Some need a trust, depending on their situation. You see, if we don't have things in writing, we're not really doing any legacy planning. Because when death comes creeping in the room, and if they're older siblings, I've seen grown folks, kin folks, close, biological connections, raised in the same house, slept in the same bed, ate at the same table when mama died, when daddy died. They quit speaking because they said, daddy left that to me. Mama left that. Nothing in writing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to you tonight about what's real, 100% true. And we got a chance to make a chance to make a difference in all of those situations. So consumers have power, the power of Primerica on their side. Now, this statement right here sounds a little bold. I know it does. We have a mission to take over the financial services industry. I know that sounds bold. It may even sound arrogant, but it's not arrogant. It's confidence. It's looking at what we are now. Again, 135,000, soon to be 150,000 representatives all over North America, teaching, marching to the same sheet of music, teaching the same concepts. That is very, very powerful. The next thing, we're going to dominate the largest, most powerful industry in the world, and we're going to win. Not just because of what we do, but because of why we do it. You see, if you understand your why, the how and the what going to take care of themselves. And we understand our why, ladies and gentlemen. Now listen, I've heard of a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't know if this is your first one or your last one. I don't know, but I do know this. This is a once in a lifetime company and a champion of North American families. And the question is, what other company can do what we do? And do you want to do something that ain't never been done before? Do you want to do something that's epic? And do you want to do something that's going to be talked about not for the next 2 months or the next 2 years, but for generations? To say my father had a hand, my mother had a hand, my sister had a hand, my cousin had a hand, my relative had a hand in that corporation, had a hand in showing me how to get my financial house in order and make a difference for my loved one. They had a hand in it. You see, the future of financial services can be defined in 2 words: diversity. Not everybody looking the same way in the company. As a company, we have it's a quilt, a colorful quilt, and then there's the delivery, not the old-fashioned way. The company has a state-of-the-art technology. You can sit right in the privacy of your home and do a Zoom call like we're doing now to your friend, your family, your neighbor, your cousin, your pastor, your choir director, and really make a difference in their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, if ain't nothing to stop you from doing this part-time, Primerica is a movement. They're a movement driven by passion and purpose, and it's time to make a change. But change ain't change until we change. I want to encourage you tonight, whoever invited you out to this meeting tonight, call them right after the meeting, or they'll call you. If it was me, give me a call, send me a text. Let's schedule a time to do one of 2 things. Number 1, join with us and have a chance to build a real business. I'm not talking about just, now there are those that come on board, they want to make another $500 to $1,000 or $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, and that's fine. Then there are those that are coming in because they want to build a six-figure income and they're willing to embrace the work to get it done on their own terms, whatever the goal. Somebody else just want to get your financial house in a kind of order. You want to get out of debt, want to have the right kind of life insurance, want to make sure you want to do some rollovers and investments, whatever the case may be. Let's take some action. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you for plugging in to such an informative meeting because we believe it's powerful. Y'all have a great rest of the night. We look forward to working with you soon. Take care.